Hello, I'm Scott. Welcome back to my series Decades of Action Challenge, which I watch and make a video about each of the movies that writer Tom Breihan has selected for his History of Violence series, which is a collection of essays on avclub.com. The most important action movie of each year for the last 50 years, starting with Bullitt in 1968. And his pick for 1970 was The Chinese Boxer, which is a rather trend-setting martial arts movie. One of the first of its kind, apparently. He writes The Chinese Boxer is credited with being the first full-on kung fu movie in which the emphasis is almost entirely on straight hand-to-hand combat. The director and star of this movie is Jimmy Wang Yu, who is credited in the film simply as Wang Yu, and his principal adversary is played by Lieh, L-E-I-H. I'd never heard of either of these guys. I'd never heard of this film, actually, before reading this essay. So this is a new experience for me. And I had a really hard time finding the film itself. Wasn't on disc anywhere that I could access. Luckily for me, it actually aired on the L-Ray network? Yes, the L-Ray network, last night, just last night. So I sort of lucked out there. It was dubbed into English. And maybe some stuff was cut out of it, I'm not really sure, but seeing as how they left, shots of bare breasts in the broadcast, it doesn't seem like there was a heck of a lot cut from the movie as far as the violence goes or anything like that. Yeah, I was a little surprised, because that's, a regular, it seems like a regular basic cable network with commercials and everything. Yeah, a little surprising. Yeah, this is a movie, and basically that's set, I don't know, a couple centuries ago. Not really sure about the time period, not really sure about the location, except that it's basically a small Chinese village. The main character, his name is, excuse me, Lieh Ming. Yeah, Lieh Ming, who basically works in a rock quarry, but he also studies Chinese boxing, martial arts, along with a large number of other young male students at a local school run by a master in his 50s or 60s, I guess. And as the movie begins, one of the master's former students arrives with a grudge and demands that he fight him. That doesn't go well for him, so he promises to return with karate masters. Now, these Chinese students, they're not studying karate, they're studying judo. And they ask their master, what's karate? We've never heard of it before. And he tells them a little bit about how it's a very aggressive style that's all about causing harm to your adversary and killing or crippling him rather than simply defending yourself. So it's kind of a nasty business that we don't like to be a part of. There's ways to defend against it, and he talks about, ways to do that. But yeah, it's not something that we really condone here. We don't condone karate. We are anti-karate at this school. So when his former student returns with a karate master who is played by this fellow Lieh. They're sort of like the top bill stars of the film here. He brings with him three very badass-looking guys. They're all dressed in black, whereas all of the students are dressed in white, and they level the place. There's a big fight amongst the students in the dojo, and practically everyone is left dead except for the main character. Sorry, I keep having to refer, but Lieh Ming. Lieh Ming is the only one left alive, and his teacher's and the teacher's daughter basically he's engaged to, and so they're the only ones left there. All the other students have been dead, so now it becomes a revenge flick where before the disgruntled former student of the master is seeking revenge because he's just, unhappy about being run out of town initially. Now our main character is the one who must exact vengeance, and he does so while wearing a surgical mask and what look like oven mitts. He walks around finding the enforcers that are shaking down some of the merchants and other people in the village for money, beats them up, and so the bad guys, he becomes a problem that bad guys have to deal with. The bad guys basically become the local gangsters, collecting debts, collecting protection money, and running the casino and making sure, anyone who wins big at the casino doesn't keep their money and gets beat up, and they're basically just terrorizing the town. So the main character, Lieh Ming, is basically, the Batman of the village, and, is out to take them all down. It's a pretty short movie. I was surprised that it ended so quickly. The film ran an hour and a half with commercial breaks, so I imagine it's even shorter than that. And I noticed that with the big fight at the end, the movie ends pretty much immediately as soon as the fight is done. There's no dialogue after that, no additional scenes. It's just like the fight's over, movie's over, problem solved. Pretty bloody movie. The blood is bright red in the movie. A lot of people get hit in the eyes and get hit in the stomach, and they bleed a lot, and it's bright red. And I know that some people complain about that. Be more realistic if it were darker. Whereas some of us old school action movie fans, we complain about the dark blood being CGI and not looking like actual liquid that was photographed when the shots were done on set. So everybody's got something to complain about here. The blood's the wrong color. The blood doesn't look like, liquid. It looks like computer animation, what have you. And of course, this being a 1970 movie, no CGI blood in this, so we can be thankful for that exactly. There are only really a couple of really big fight scenes in the movie. The middle section of the movie basically is just Lieh Ming recovering from that first attack on the school, and disciplining himself, doing his, training montage thing, toughening up his hands and improving his jumping skills. And at that point, when he's ready, he walks into the casino and wearing his mask and his oven mitts, and he's become infamous at that point. So at that point, all the guys in black surround him and he takes them all out, just wipes them all out. That's the first really big fight scene in the movie. But at that point, the movie really doesn't have all that much left to run. There's basically just two major conflicts after that, and the movie's pretty much over with. Yeah, I have to say this really isn't my type of movie. I found it entertaining, but, there's a lot of really sort of stilted dialogue with the translation to English. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun movie for the most part, but not really something that I would be crazy about. Maybe it's the the emphasis on tradition and on discipline and what have you. Discipline's very important to the good martial arts guys. They see it as sort of a life philosophy rather than just training and learning how to, knock someone off their feet. But yeah, it really, the movie doesn't go very deep. It's all just about revenge, getting back at the person who wronged you, or that you assumed wronged you, or that you feel wronged you in some way or other. The fighting is great. The fighting's really, really exciting. But yeah, it's not really my type of movie for the most part, so it wouldn't necessarily be my one of my favorites in this series right here. I have to say that both of the previous movies that I've talked about are ones that I like a little bit better than this. But I'm still glad I saw it, and I'm glad I had the chance to see it, because I was a little worried that I wouldn't be able to see it at all in the first place. Breihan talks about how Lieh Ming had, not Lieh Ming, Jimmy Wang Yu, sorry, that's the name of the actual guy. He really had quite a career, despite the fact that he was banned from making movies for a while. Breihan felt like he wasn't as believable as a screen fighter as Bruce Lee, but then again, who was? Bruce Lee was one of the most magnetic fighters in film history. Apparently he's still alive and still making movies. He played Donnie Yen's father in a movie called Dragon in 2011. Yeah, he's still going strong apparently. So if you want to read Breihan's article, I've got a link to that in the description below. You can check that out. I encourage you to look at the other articles that he has written. Of course, I'm going to be going week by week. Next Friday, I've got a double feature to cover. Breihan couldn't choose between two 1971 movies, so he called it a draw between The French Connection, directed by William Friedkin and starring Gene Hackman, and the first Dirty Harry movie, Dirty Harry, directed by Don Siegel and starring Clint Eastwood, of course. So I'm going to have to check out both of those movies and talk about them both for next week's video. Oh, and he published a new article today on The Fugitive. I'm basically playing catch-up. He's posting articles every 2 weeks, whereas I'm making a video every week. So I'm sort of, catching up, and we'll be caught up by the end of the year. when he finishes his series. The Fugitive was his pick for the 1993 action film, and at the end of it he's got a little teaser for next essay, which will be on the 1994 film Speed, starring Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, of course. And I correctly guessed that one, so that means I'm 7 for 12 right now. Correctly guessed 7 out of 12, starting with 83. So still not a great average, but hopefully the next few will be Heat and The Rock and Face Off and Saving Private Ryan, which were my guesses for his series. So if I got them all right, my average has improved quite a bit. We'll find out in a couple weeks. Thanks very much for watching. And there's a link, of course, not only to the article, but also to my Facebook page. If you want to visit that, that would be great. Thanks again. I'll see you again next time. Bye.